Sitting in front of me, though, is a legend of South African rugby. A man that most see and want to retire their wives to say, you take this, Pieter Hendriks. This man right here. Pieter, I mean, I could liken this to say, you don't remember much about the Football World Cup, but you remember that first goal.
Yeah, look, I must be honest, when Jerry Skosana stopped playing for Pirates, that's when I stopped. When the Legs of Thunder was not there anymore. So, yeah. No.
So you're a Pirates fan, I take it?
Yeah, look, what can I say? I remember that first goal. I must say I'm embarrassed. I can't remember who scored it.
Let me help you there.
Yes, please.
It was Phiwa Shabalala that scored that goal. I know you remember that goal.
Yes.
But the reason I brought that moment up was because that moment for soccer fans was as big for most of us South Africans as in Cape Town when you, against Australia, did the same thing.
The 95, yeah, I must say, Andile, it's my claim to fame.
Talk me through it. What happened?
Yeah. Look, I think the whole build-up of the country of the 95, not many people gave us a chance in that, but to talk about the try itself, a lot of people say, yes, you were very windgat when you went like that. But, like I say, I played many times against David Campisi, and one thing I'll say in David Campisi's defense, David was never a great defender. You know, ball in hand, you had to be wide awake because, I mean, he was the best or one of the best wingers in the world. So when it happened, it was just a special moment. And when I never doubted that I could beat him because it sounds arrogant, but in the build-up games and the prior seasons in 93, 94, we played against each other. And I managed to beat him, but Matthew Burke, the fullback, he stopped me every time. So luckily, Matthew Burke wasn't around. He was in the team, but he wasn't in his position. So when I went around David Campisi, it felt so good.
You ran circles around him.
Yeah, no, look, like I say, it was nice when it happened.
It wasn't just about the rugby. I mean, for you playing in that team, there was also a political change in South Africa. It was a weird time for most South Africans.
Yeah, you must remember my passion and my goal was always to play for the Springboks, and it was my dream to play for them. And we also came out of an apartheid era. Being youngsters, we never knew what was going on. It was kept from us. And in '87, when we got the opportunity to vote, I must say I was one of the ones who voted yes. But you didn't know why. You just thought that's it. And at the time, in '91, I used to watch the World Cup, and I remember watching David Campisi and Tim Horan and Jason Little. They were my age, and we weren't allowed to play. You know, we didn't understand it really. And then the wonderful thing happened that the release of Nelson Mandela came about, and it was special. You can never reproduce. You know, even if South Africa wins 2-3 World Cups in South Africa again, you can never reproduce it. And it was just, I think, for the whole country. You know, it was a change. It was the release of Nelson Mandela. It was the end of apartheid, going into the new era of South Africa. It was just special. And, you know, and one thing I'll say, Andile, it was a hell of a privilege.
Absolute fantastic. Now, let's talk about Nelson Mandela. You'd heard about him. You knew about him from whatever you'd read and what you'd heard, but you'd never met him. What did you think about him before you met him?
Terrorist. You know, that's how we grew up. You know, when we never, I'll tell you one thing, it's actually strange. I thought about it when we were at school. I never knew anything about Nelson Mandela. I never knew anything about the ANC. It didn't exist. It was kept from us. You know, you were told you will go to army. If you don't go, they're going to put you in jail and all that stuff. And at school you were trained and having BFAC and all that type of stuff, training, military training basically. So when Nelson Mandela, when we heard that they're going to release him, it was like, you know, the swart gevaar. You know what I'm saying? That was my first perception of the man. And then, like you say, in '95, obviously things '92 changed. You got to learn about it, you got to hear about it, you got to read about it, and you saw the change that came about. And then in '95, when they had the privilege, and I was talking this morning to a friend of mine who was actually the helicopter pilot, Kobus Swart, for Nelson Mandela. We were very close friends. And he told me, he said that they're going to come and visit us. And I told nobody else. It was just when we were busy training there, and you saw the security, what's happening here, you know something's happening, and the next moment you saw the helicopters coming in. And then you realize the big man is here. And hell, to have met him, it was an honor. It was a hell of a privilege. And yeah, looking at that, yes, I also got, it's our reunion 20 years. And yeah, that's us standing. I'll have a look.
And then he gets a cap there from
Henny Leroux. I think he gave Japie Mulder's cap to Nelson Mandela. And you know,
so how was that moment, meeting the man that you'd known as a terrorist, meeting the man that you almost were so afraid of, and here he is, and you're meeting him?
Yeah, at that stage I wasn't thinking of him anymore as a terrorist, that I must say. But I'll tell you what, I remember when he came there, he was so apologetic to say he apologized for being here and intruding in our practice session. It was like, but at the same time, it was also, listen, the man is here. Yeah. And for us it was like, to say, hey, my daughter, you know what I'm saying? It was unbelievable. His presence, the presence, he's a true statesman, and the other thing is he's a humble man, but the character, it's overwhelming. If it wasn't for him, I mean, let's be honest, then the Springbok, I don't think would have existed anymore. But, But one thing I will say is, he told us that we must go and do it for the country. And he told us that this is an opportunity for us to unite the country. And I mean, it was, he didn't even have to say those words. Just for Nelson Mandela, the way we treated him in the apartheid era, for him to come down, to tell the Springboks in '95, listen guys, we're behind you, the whole country is behind you. It was massive. It was massive. And like I say again, I don't have the words to describe it, but for him, he could have easily gone the other way or whatever, but it just shows the character of the man.
What a man.
He's a man. He's a man.
I hear it. Nice, sentimental, you won it. But let's talk a little bit now about the ups and downs of that World Cup. Let's talk about Port Elizabeth.
Yes.
Wat het gebeur in Port Elizabeth?
Oh, hell man. I should have done it, yeah. Ek moes het beter gedoen het. No,
if you could go back to that moment.
Yeah, I can.
I think you once described it as you kick like a kangaroo. What did you say? You kick?
Yeah, no, I kick like an ostrich, man. It was like it wasn't a good kick. No, what happened in a nutshell? Load shedding was present that evening
before the game.
Yeah, we warmed up and we knew beforehand that the guys are going to come out and they're going to play physical rugby. It's going to be very physical, and they could never beat us, so they're going to try and play the negative game. Yeah. So we prepared for them. We watched videos and we saw that they're very physical, playing the games or the teams off the ball, that type of stuff. And keeping in mind the build-up when you warmed up and you go back into the change room and the emotions going high. Twice we went out, and then in the game in itself, what happened, the number 14 ran and I came to tackle him. And I tackled him when we went over the line. And he turned me around. I held him against with the right against the collar, and he held me. But he turned me around and he tried to push me into the advertising boards. And that's where we stopped. And then Reese, the fullback of Canada, he came running in and he hit me from behind. Now, everything that I tell you now happens in 11 seconds. Yeah. So when he hit me from behind, I was furious. I promise you I lost it. I wanted to kill the bastard, to be honest. So what happened was then James Dalton came running in, and James pushed him into the advertising board off me. And then when I turned around, I saw him here, but I couldn't get to him because the 14 was still holding me by the collar. So I kicked, but the kick was missed. Okay, the first kick was missed. Then Henny Leroux came running in, and everybody was hitting. And that Reese, when he got up, Henny Leroux dropped him. He fell here. And when he fell here, I couldn't get down to this guy. So the 14 was still holding me. I hit him with the left. I'm proud of the left. I must say that was the only thing I did well. My left was a good left. And then at the same time, I thought, now I'm going to kill this guy. And when I kicked him, I kicked him against the neck. It was like, as I kicked, you have a look at the video, you can see I'm kicking and I'm stopping because I thought cameras. And then I came to my senses because everybody was just hitting and fighting. And yeah, the rest was history. They sent James Dalton and Reese, the fullback, off. And out of the whole fight, I was the only guy who was cited afterwards. And I got 90 days, still the biggest ever suspension in the history of the game.
It is?
Yeah.
Till today, it still is the biggest. But now, here's the funny part. Did you get your medal?
No.
Till today?
No, we never got a medal. No.
You don't have your 1995 World Cup winning squad medal?
No, I don't have. We weren't allowed even to sit with the team and watch a game with the team, the final. So at that stage I was a little bit... So
when did you watch the final?
I watched it at home. I was a little bit upset with the guys.
You scored the first try of the World Cup on South African soil when we were readmitted to rugby.
Yes.
Against Canada, you make a mistake. You're not even allowed to watch it at the stadium. You sit at home watching it and you don't have a medal?
Yeah, they told us we can watch it, but we weren't allowed to sit with the team. And I just thought, listen, that we work so hard together and we train so hard. And being 25 years old, I thought, no, I'm not going to sit there in the crowd and watch the game. If I can't sit with the squad, then I'm not going to watch it. So, yeah, I watched it at home. I did watch it.
I'll tell you what, here at Sports at 10, we're going to start a petition to the International Rugby Record because we want your medal. Yeah. You deserve your medal. You must get your medal. Before we go, before I let you go, 2 weeks ago, the 95 squad got together to take a picture that replicate the picture that you guys took just before the World Cup. Yes. And I saw a couple of those guys. How are the guys looking now?
No, Andile, I must say, it was good to see the guys. If you take Kobus Visa, I think he can still make it. You know, he's got a lot of weight to offer the team. And Heineke is maybe going to need it. And we all got maybe, I look at the pictures here behind us. And I see US van der Westhuizen there. Yeah, I think US is most probably, yeah, he's going through a difficult time and our thoughts are with him. But I think overall, the guys are not doing too badly. I think Andile Ncube is most probably in the best shape. And Marius Herter, the prop, he can still play for South Africa.
But most of the guys are twice, three times their size. And we have something very nasty picture there. 20 years ago, that picture was taken. It's 20 years later. Where are you there?
No, I'm out of picture. I'm out of picture. So, yeah.
Oh, but there's some of the guys there, some of the names there, some of your teammates that you're seeing there as well. A good memory, that is, for all South Africans.
Look, those are special times, you know. There's a bond between those guys that, you're not going to have that ever again, I think, in South Africa, just because of the 95 and the new South Africa, the new era that began. And Pieter. Yeah, it was special, I must say.
SABC rugby commentator Pieter Hendriks and a history maker in South Africa. I'd love to have you for an hour. I think your story needs to be told as an alone story. We'll get you that hour sometime here on SABC. Thank you so much for coming through.
Andile, thank you very much, and we support the Bokke. I sounded a little bit negative, but I do believe our guys can still win it.